Hello, welcome to today's lecture. I'm Lady TrenettWilson, your lecturer and social historian. Today we're going to learn about one of our most storied HBCUs, Howard University. With its $1 billion endowment, it has graduated some of our nation's most prominent leaders. It was established in 1867 by an act of Congress signed into law by President Andrew Johnson, and he was Lincoln's vice president. Now, it was named after the first president of the Freedmen's Bureau. His name was Oliver Otis Howard. And a lot of our black institutions, you would be surprised, was founded by or the presidents were all white men. Even the whole board was white men. And they may take a little advice from, other people of color as far as what they should be teaching, but it was ran from day to day by these white people. Now, its first president was also white, and his name was Charles Brandon Boynton. But the first black president of Howard University was not elected until 59 years later. His name was Mordecai Wyatt Johnson. And so I thank you all for joining me for today's lecture. I think you're going to find it interesting and a little bit more about Howard University. Now, Mordecai was born on January the 12th, 1890, in Paris, Tennessee, to Reverend Wyatt J. Johnson, who was a preacher, and he was also a mill worker. They said he worked like 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. And Carolyn Freeman, his mom, and she was a domestic worker for a prominent family. Now, given his pictures, you're probably saying this man is not black. In fact, he looks Italian. So we also know back in that time period that a lot of women who were enslaved were abused by their masters or the people who owned them. And so we can see that he does have some mixed race in his lineage. And so this was clearly a mixed race man, a mulatto man. And honestly, during the time period, the way as racist and colorist as it was, if he didn't look like this, he still wouldn't be the president. So after graduating high school, Mordecai moved to Nashville, where he studied at Roger Williams University and later Howe Institute in Memphis, Tennessee. And then he transferred to the Atlanta Baptist College, where he attended his postgraduate work. Now the school is known as Morehouse College. It is reported that Johnson did well in his grades, but he was known as quite the prankster back in the day. And so he would get into trouble on occasion. So much so that the dean had to write to his father and say, listen, he's over here acting up and you need to talk to him, which he did. So Mordecai, he kind of calmed down a little bit, but then he got in trouble one more time for playing cards. So he got suspended for a little while. And when he came back, he was ready to take school seriously. And he did wonderful. He was a member of the debate team, the Glee Club, and he was the quarterback of the football team. He had made such a profound impression. When he graduated, he was offered a position and he taught English, economics, and he served as the acting dean. After teaching for a year, though, he moved to Chicago to attend the University of Chicago. This also was the time when he met his beautiful wife and lifelong wife, Anna, whom he married on December the 25th, 1916. They had 5 children. There were 3 boys and 2 girls, and I'm showing pictures throughout the presentation of them. His son, also by his name, Junior, also was a doctor. Now, while studying at the University of Chicago, he received his bachelor's degree and then he attended Rochester Theological Seminary in Rochester, New York, where he received his bachelor's in divinity degree. He also earned a doctor of divinity from Harvard in 1923. Now, this man did all of this, and he was still in his early 30s. It's just outstanding the discipline you must have had to be able to complete all these degrees. Now, only 1 year after marrying Anna, he became the pastor of the First Baptist Church in Charleston, West Virginia. He later founded the chapter of the NAACP there. His background in education brought him to the forefront because they were facing some problems. So this is when we begin to move into his career at Howard University. At the time, a man named Stanley Durkee was the president, and the school wasn't feeling him anymore. The students weren't feeling them. The whole campus was black, and again, there had been 10 presidents who was white, and some of the policies that Durkee made toward the students and the staff, they did not like. So the decision was made. Johnson was going to take over, and it was a unanimous vote that put him into office on June the 26th, 1926. He became the official president, first black president of Howard University. He brought the school into national prominence right away, and the most noted scholars attended under his tutelage. Alan Locke, he was the nation's first Black Rhodes Scholar. I left a link so that you can look at his video down below. Ralph Bunche and Percy LaVon Julian, who was a noted chemist. So it became a think tank. It became a place where doctors and lawyers were trained. Under Johnson's tenure, enrollment went from 2,000 in 1926 to more than 10,000 when he retired in 1960. He was a great orator, and he even spoke alongside Martin Luther King. The school, it really benefited greatly from Locke's leadership, including he raised millions for classes, for updating the infrastructure of the school, and for notably appointing the man who would go on to dismantle Jim Crow. And his name was Charles Hamilton Houston. So this man was, I think, called to probably be the president of this university. Johnson, outside of academic circles, is not really spoken of. But today, I hope that you learned a little bit more about a man who spent a whole career at Howard University beginning when he was only 36 years old. I mean, how many people can lead a family at 36, much alone a university? At a time when racism was very prominent, he had to fight for his schools, money for their right to have a school. So we commend Mr. Mordecai Johnson for the job that he did at Howard University. Now, Mordecai passed on September the 10th, 1976, in Washington, D.C., at the age of 86, and he left a beautiful legacy of education behind. His leadership really reshaped Howard into the cultural icon it is today. And one of my little nieces are going to be going over to Howard University, and so its legacy still lives on. I want to thank you for joining me for today's lesson. I hope that you learned a little bit more about the first Black president of Howard University. Now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And remember, my lectures are for educational and entertainment purposes only, and the Fair Act use is in my description and in effect. I thank you for taking some time out. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. And if you're a Howard alumni, Spelman alumni, or any HBCU alumni, let me know down below. And I'll see you on another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. Keep on clicking on one of those videos. It's right there. So you can keep learning about our Royal Black and Elite history. Thanks for joining me.